Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, members of IDAC. Fantastic to have this opportunity to speak to you and tell you some ideas around building for nature and why it is coming of age and why it is going to be the biggest opportunity in your industry and indeed in many others in the months to come. And we have been lucky in the sense that the global pandemic and all the disruptions that it has brought is bringing also an opportunity, because what we're seeing, you would all agree, is that infotech and biotech are coming together in an accelerated manner. And in this acceleration, suddenly all stakeholders are beginning to understand that we need to do a better job at valuing nature. Somehow the pandemic is making us realize that if we don't live in better harmony with nature, not only are other pandemics going to happen, but the whole economic and social system as we have built it, capitalism and democracy itself are at stake. So we're in a very good environment to put forward business opportunities that place nature at its core. And what are the indicators of what I'm saying? So we have the Green Deal, the EU Green Deal, the Canada Green Deal, China has a Green Deal, many other countries have Green Deals, and they all place carbon, circularity, and workforce transition at its core. And in the EU, we're absolutely grateful that the Green Deal is being accelerated as opposed to postponed. We are seeing financial markets in the ASEAN that are all working to set up green financial hubs, ask that ESG performance is integrated in listing criteria, and they're working on sovereign green bond frameworks and policies. And most promising is, of course, the ongoing reforms on agriculture, beginning, of course, with the EU reform of the Common Agricultural Policy. And the reform really sits on the central pillar that the agriculture sector needs to be rewarded and needs to be provided an incentive to produce ecosystem services, to improve natural heritage, to improve soil productivity, to renature, to provide for species diversity, and the list goes on. There are some countries where this is being already practiced, here in Switzerland, for example, and there are a few others. There are experiments ongoing in the Netherlands to reward dairy farmers for the production of biological diversity. This will all come to bear in the next few years, and this starts the valuation of nature as a factor of production, as a placeholder in our economic system. And then that opens up other opportunities. For example, nature performance bonds. On the 9th of September, the very conservative financial guru Hank Paulson, former Treasury Secretary in the United States, one would also argue that he was one of the 25 people responsible for the 2008 financial crisis. He himself is writing about a new asset class of healthy soils and pollinators. I personally was very excited with the launch of the Global Carbon Exchange Traded Fund, the KFA Traded Fund. The ticker is KBRN, and this is an exchange trading fund that tracks and trades on the performance of the three most liquid carbon markets we have in the world today: the EU emissions trading system, the California Cap and Trade Program, and the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. It's the first carbon exchange traded fund, and it's very exciting because it allows all market participants, including retail investors like us, to participate on the price of carbon. And the launch of this fund tells us that the financial markets are ready for carbon to be priced. And finally, we see the huge rally on ESG funds. Anybody following the financial news across all global markets, Japan, Hong Kong, China, here in the US and Canada, you see a huge rally on ESG funds. And this rally tells us several things, that there's going to be money looking for homes on green and conservation bonds. There's going to be money that is ready to take on carbon offsets. They are ready to take risks related to pay for performance financing, resilience financing, that is financing alongside the insurance industry. There's going to be money for impact capital, digital finance, and the blockchain revolution, along with the Bitcoin cryptocurrency break-in, should I say, might take flight. And then I'm going to share some ideas on how savings accounts, very simple savings accounts of citizens, might be tapped for natural infrastructure capital. The thing is this, members of IADC, you know how to build with nature, you are experts at it. This is a part of your DNA. Now what you have to do is you have to establish the track record, because if you don't do it, nobody will. We really need much better predictability, comparability, and certainty in the nature-based infrastructure space. People really need to understand, not just financiers, but all stakeholders need to understand that nature will perform, how nature will perform, and how nature-based infrastructure compares with traditional grey infrastructure across the life cycle. And don't forget, as the climate changes, and climates will continue to change, the financial feasibility of nature-based infrastructure also becomes more attractive. And when there is predictability, comparability, and certainty, money is going to flow into that sector, because money is always looking for a good deal. We get tied up in this search for capital, and we forget that well-prepared projects generally find a whole lot of investors. It provides you with a new business model. And maybe, competition on the lowest price at the point of tendering or at the point of contracting will not be so pertinent, because you are bringing a whole lot more value to the table. The co-benefits of nature-based infrastructure will be quantified, and governments and investors will value those co-benefits, and you're no longer competing on the lowest contracting price. So, early strategies, green financing strategies that can handle market uncertainties and accompany you in the creation of the market and the establishment of the track record are what? What might they be? I see pay for performance being a first mover. So pay for performance is perhaps a grand way of structuring a deal where you, the provider of the nature-based solution, is remunerated on targets and objectives as you meet them. So There could be seed capital being provided by the contractor or not, or a PPP arrangement could be envisaged to help you find affordable capital, but you will be remunerated on the performance of the nature-based asset. The second opportunity might be the growth of green and blue project bonds. Now, this is not an innovative instrument, you would argue. Green bonds have been around for a long time, but I see a lot of innovation because you see, when there is rally on environmental, social, and governance funds, like we're seeing now, those funds need a home. They need to invest in something, and a safe investment option could be the green and blue bonds. And the second generation of green and blue bonds could be option B on the screen, where the coupon of the bond is actually linked to the delivery of ecosystem services. And that means lower cost of capital for you. So here's the innovation there. And then thirdly, it might be not too early to think of biodiversity credits. You are certainly looking at business models where you would restore landscapes and perhaps reap revenues through the sale of carbon credits. Maybe you'll also be able to sell biodiversity credits. And this is really not pie in the sky. This is really doable in the immediate term. And finally, I am very inspired by the opportunity, at least for IDAC members in the European Union, to look at opportunities around savings accounts. Savings accounts where the proceeds are expressly invested in nature-based infrastructure. And we have an experiment with that in France. It's called the Livret de Développement Durable et Solidaire, where it's a very traditional savings account. They platform out at 12,000 to 24,000 euros. The interest is tax deductible. You and me and all households who are taxpayers can opt to take out one. And the funds in these savings accounts are to be invested in sustainable development. What we need to do is to work with the financial services sector and our regulators to include nature-based infrastructure in the projects that are earmarked under these sustainable development savings accounts. And some of you might be thinking, this is interesting, but interest rates are very low today. And that is correct. In the EU, it's very low. In most OECD countries, it's very low. But some of us in the audience are in economies where interest rates are in upper single digits or in double digits. And in these countries, the savings account for sustainable development of nature-based infrastructure is a very real option. The second opportunity is to remember that after the pandemic, many households in the European Union are looking at sizable savings. In France, for example, we're looking at a couple of billion in terms of savings that are sitting in commercial banks. Can these savings be ring-fenced into a safe savings option with higher interest rates, tax deductible revenues for nature-based infrastructure? So can the same model of the LDDS I'm showing you on the screen provide immediate term capital for nature-based infrastructure? You all are very powerful lobbyists, and it might be something that you want to think about. And through this project, we are able to offer IDAC members a no-cost, low-cost valuation on nature-based infrastructure using our sustainable asset valuation methodology called SAVE. Now, what we are able to offer you using best-in-class data, including the EU Copernicus Earth Observation Platform's climate data, is a valuation of ecosystem services, a valuation of the co-benefits, a valuation on climate risk scenarios, and a comparison with built infrastructure. So send us, please, an expression of interest in the coming weeks, because we're looking for 6 pilot projects in 2021. I'd like to end there and wish you a fantastic conference. It was really an honor to speak to you, and we look forward to collaboration in the coming months. Thank you so much.